What would you do if your world collapsed in an instant, out of the blue, completely unexpectedly? How would you react to being punched in the gut by a blindingly brutal betrayal? Could you maintain your composure when the love you unconditionally gave to your spouse was spat upon? Will you keep your cool, explode, fly into a rage, or just burst into tears? Well, I can tell you from experience, you never know for sure until you're in that situation, and I hope you never have to find out. Exactly a year ago on this day I came home. I was standing right outside our bedroom door. The door was ajar. My beloved wife of 6 years, Amber, was in the midst of hot and passionate sex with my boss, Mr. Glenn Davis. Amber was a beautiful woman, 5'7", tall with short, cropped blonde hair and a perfect 32-year-old body. We clashed and fought from time to time, but I adored her and thought we enjoyed each other as much or more than other couples our age. She never gave me any reason to expect what I encountered on that fateful day. Glenn wasn't some old slob. He was in his early 40s, elegant and fit for an average guy age. From where I stood, it was a good size down there. Not earth-shattering, but it looked thick and was a good 7 or 8 inches. I was supposed to be on my way to Houston, but my flight from Dallas was canceled at the last minute due to severe spring storms around the airport. I rebooked for the morning and headed home, thinking about the amazing evening with Amber. Now, with my mouth agape, I tried to cope with the biggest shock of my life. I didn't move for the next few minutes. I just stood there, frozen in despair, realizing that the life I thought I had was over. Before my eyes, Glenn took his dignity in his hands and began to have furious sex with my wife, something we had never had before. It was so corny that I thought I was watching an adult film, and not in real life my wife having sex with my boss. I started with a question. What would you do about such a terrible mess? Let me tell you about my answer. After a couple of minutes, realizing that they had no idea that I was right next to the bedroom, I began to come to my senses. I started filming them. I recorded about 3 minutes, which was the longest 3 minutes of my life. Then I quietly retreated, went down to my home office in the basement, and took something out of my safe. After only taking 5 minutes to come up with a plan for the rest of my life, I crept back up the stairs and was within earshot again. The action stopped for a moment, and a private conversation began. "Oh, my Glenn, you are so terrible, but you will always rock my world. I see stars when you have sex with me." She wrapped one arm and one leg around him and caressed his face. "Amber, you are simply amazing. I have to tell you that I was surprised at the Christmas party when you asked to see my office, and then let me bend you over my desk and pick you up. Yes, I really love him and he treats me so well, but sometimes I need to be picked up and just have hard sex. I knew you would do this to me the moment I first saw you. Tim is sweet, but when you put him down, I get so ecstatic that I almost pass out. I love what we do together. I hope you can continue to send him out of town on business. Don't worry, honey. He will do this for many years to come." With that, he turned her over and stood behind her as they prepared for the second round. It's time to act. For better or worse, I put my reckless plan into action. I walked into the bedroom and walked to the foot of the bed, looking confused and hurt, trying my best not to seem threatening. "Oh no, honey. Glenn, what are you two doing? Why are you having sex in our bed?" Tears welled up in my eyes as I tried to look devastated and defeated. At least for a moment, Amber was shocked and scared. "Oh, honey, what are you doing at home? Why didn't you call me? Glenn and I can explain everything." "Please explain," I begged, stepping back and falling into the chair opposite the bed. "Why did you two do this to me?" I asked in a whiny voice. Glenn understood this immediately. "Well, Timmy, it's time for you to find out. Your wife is one hot sex pistol that needs a good charge, which you and your little dignity cannot provide. She may be your wife, but she is mine, and there is nothing you can do about it." Amber was confused for a second, but quickly came to her senses. She grinned and jumped forward. "Yes, Timmy, you are my sweet little hubby, and you always will be. But Jen is my man, my alpha male. He comes and has sex with me in our marital bed because he wants to. I can't stop him. I don't want to stop him. I like the way he tells me this. I know you can't stop him either. He is much bigger and better than you. I acted as if trying to preserve a small part of my manhood. He lowered his head as if he had been completely defeated. I stood quietly, raising his right hand with a Glock clutched in it. Die, you piece of shit. I paused for 2 seconds before pulling the trigger. There was no way I was going to let Glenn pass out right away, not knowing who had taken his pathetic life from him. His eyes widened in horror, and he barely managed to squeeze out a "No!" before he clutched his chest in pain and shock, falling off the bed onto the floor, where he quietly left us. I think I heard him cry. For her part, Amber started screaming and pulled away from me, covering herself with the sheets on the bed. "Tim, what have you done? No, this can't be. Honey, why, what? Oh no, no. She collapsed, sobbing. I remained calm, my right hand falling to my side. "Amber, look at me," she continued to sob, burying her face in the mattress. "Amber," I said more firmly, "look at me right now, you fucking whore." This caught her attention. "You bastard, you killed Glenn. I'll call the police and you'll go to jail for the rest of your life. I hate you. Are you finished?" "Don't you dare talk to me like that, you sick bastard," she spat. "Well," I thought almost emotionlessly, "I guess we're going to have to get through this the hard way." I walked up to the bed, grabbed her by the hair, and pulled the trigger a second time. Again. The next 24 hours passed in a blur. No one would be looking for Amber anytime soon since she didn't have a job or regular classes. Her parents died a couple of years ago, and her only sister lived on the other side of the country. They only talked on the phone on weekends. I'm sure Glenn's wife would be looking for him, but I seriously doubted she would be looking for him in our house. The office people think I'm in Houston and will call if they need anything from me. I decided I had at least one day to disappear. Did some quick research, did some banking, packed a couple of bags, grabbed my passport, and sped out of town. This was exactly a year ago. As I sit in a small cafe in a dark corner of Montenegro, I feel a little guilty about what I did. It was hateful and vindictive, but what they did was beyond cruel. Like I said, I had about 5 minutes to decide how I was going to react, and it only took me about 5 seconds to realize that being a fool and submitting to humiliation was not an option. Everything else followed from this. Why Montenegro? Well, there are a couple of reasons. First of all, most people listening to this story will probably have to dig up a map of the world to even find where it is. And secondly, it is one of the nicest non-trade countries you can get into without much preparation. Once I settled here, I learned that the people are friendly, but not curious. The climate is fine, and I'm even starting to understand the language.